Dun, dun,
And we're live. What's up, guys? We're back for another episode of Almost Patriots Podcast. I'm your host, Rico, here in San Diego, California, and today, as a special house guest, also Elvis is here in San Diego, California. Shout out, Elvis.
What up?
Big shout out to Mike in New York. How's everything going over there, buddy?
Everything is great, spectacular, amazing, excellent.
That
As you
sounds
tell.
like you're full of shit. But yeah, great. I'm glad you're doing
pretty much.
How is it? I mean, is the weather getting better over there? Or
No,
people-
it's been fucking disgusting. The weather's been cold. It's still in the 40s. It literally been raining the entire fucking week, which
Mike.
is horrible.
You also described most of the, single females in North County and San Diego.
Okay,
Cold
we just lost. We
and
just lost a lot of females.
Cold and
subscribers.
in their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one.
Wow, spicy.
I have a additional joke
yell
on there,
into
and
it.
I'm not gonna say it. Ricardo knew where I was going.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And most of them, and back. So we're back, guys. But yeah, it's a beautiful day here in San Diego. I can see the sun. We got the windows open here at the loft in Little Italy. We just went to go have a delicious steak lunch down the street over at a Argentinian steakhouse here in San Diego that we like to visit here in the Little Italy barrio called Puerto La Boca. Shout out Puerto La Boca.
Puerto La Boca.
Yeah, that place is delicious, and they're always really good there. It's really well priced. The meat is fantastic. They have great pasta too. So if you're in the town and you're thinking, where should I eat? Eat at Puerto La Boca, man. Check it out. But that was good. Had a little margarita. Chris had his Moscow Mule.
Signature
Yeah.
mule.
Yeah, now we're I think we're on to
You okay, Mike?
I'm fine. I barely made it out alive with that space.
Mimosa. It's mimosa.
Mimosa. Oh, that's the Japanese version.
As you
Well,
can
see,
tell,
these are
everybody,
Japanese.
we are all drinking
They're
this
called
episode.
mimosas in Japan.
What's the Harry Potter version? Leviosa. Leviosa.
Okay.
I don't know. I was never a big Harry Potter fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't a nerd. I never
Good
really
old
read the
douchebags.
books.
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down, but definitely was not a big, huge Harry Potter fan. But yeah,
I feel like Chris is the person that would wait at like Universal or Disney World, so that you can go to the Harry
No,
Potter
you
like
can't
exhibit that just
Can't go
opened.
there. No.
Yeah, I could see
I
you
did
doing
wait
it
in line for
with your
episode
like
one.
Harry
I
Potter.
was in line for episode 1 on opening day. Yeah.
I knew it. I fucking knew it. Yeah, I could see you waiting in the line in your Harry Potter outfit
Episode 1 is
with your
Star
little
Wars, by the way.
wand.
Not Harry Potter.
Hmm?
Episode 1 is Star Wars. I waited in line.
Well, I said Harry
I was
Potter.
there for episode 1.
I still think your mic's not working, Chris.
No, I can hear myself, and
I still think his mic
Okay,
is
perfect.
working.
Yeah, I mean,
turn it up more if you want.
I think so. I don't know. It might just be me.
Hello?
That's a little better, I guess. Cool, man. Yeah, not a big Harry Potter. I like who is the author who wrote the Harry?
J.K.
I
Rowling.
appreciate that person.
Yeah, she's
very creative. Yeah,
She's
creative,
great.
creative
She holds
genius.
it
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Nah, I like the fact that she was probably to come up with this story, you have to seriously have like a ridiculous imagination. But I love the fact that she's staying true to her word and her beliefs right now on social media. She won't like she's just relentless with her thoughts and saying them on X, which is like hilarious. But I respect it. I gotta be honest with you. She's not backing down.
Yeah, that chick is tight.
Not letting the woke agenda change her opinions.
Well,
I respect
all the
it.
censorship is never good for creativity, so I can't imagine anyone getting behind any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she made her $1 billion, and she was like, "Nope, I'm putting my flag in the ground right now, and I'm staying, and I'm going to continue fighting these causes." And she's right in certain perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I mean, now that everyone has a platform, then everyone has the ability to voice, and I think It was interesting watching sort of all this happen. I can kind of remember, and I actually was here. I was here with my buddy Kenny, and I remember the first time I heard the news say the word Facebook. And like those of us in the industry had been using Facebook, and like we knew all about it. Everybody in the ad game and everything. It was all we were younger, and so like I just remember the first time that like somebody on the news said it. I was like, no way they're going to take this seriously, and then they did, and like look what it turned into. But it was so interesting to see sort of like that, like turnover, of like when
I
that's
remember when it went public. When it went
yeah.
public,
I think that's
everybody was like,
probably
there's
what
nothing,
would had
yeah,
it make the news.
Yeah, because there's nothing like there's no like tangible value. It's all just word of mouth stuff. But now there's like all the advertising, and now it's
No, it's the data.
well,
That's
yeah,
where they make their money is on the data on the back
yeah.
end.
But I don't think they were publicly announcing that they were collecting all this data when they went public.
Wait, do companies do that nowadays? They tell you that they're collecting all your data when you use their apps and anything? Holy, this is news to me.
They do it all the time. And do you guys remember? I think I talked about this on the show. The what is it? The Vizio thing, where like Vizio was able to make
they
these
were
really
recording
cheap plasma TVs because it was literally taking pictures like every second and then like uploading them to a database. And like all the investors knew about it. They like bragged about it. And if somebody finally sued somebody, like they got some like some pictures leaked. But the entire like Vizio thing was just like the ones that connected to the internet were just like photographing everything in front of them forever. So that's really fucking weird.
Is that the Roomba
Well,
thing?
they
Roomba,
still
when they were taking pictures.
well they still do it. They record what you're watching, how long you watch the program for. Most of these companies do that. They sell the data so they get your watching habits and what you like. Same thing with
dude.
like
On.
It doesn't. You sound like
on.
Ricardo.
Yeah.
Ricardo had one too many
no,
mimosas.
not at all. It just, I can't hear Chris, and he's right here for some reason. So I was like, I had to check the mic.
I can hear it perfectly
Yeah.
fine.
My bad.
I can hear everybody and myself.
Okay, continue, Mike.
Can you hear me?
You have to turn the
No,
gain all the way
like
down,
I
especially
think
in
it was
louder, so.
yeah, I think it was Roomba or iRobot. I
Yeah,
can't
Roomba.
remember, but basically, yeah, they were. So everybody thought they were like a robot. Like, oh my god, they map your whole place and they know how to do that. When in fact, there were cameras in it. When anytime it hit something, they turned the cameras on. They would record everything. That's how they were mapping everything. And somehow, images of a person in the bathroom got leaked, and they were laughing about it. Yeah. So that was a good one.
Roomba was sending the square footage data, compiling it, and then selling it to the real estate market, and that's what they were doing. So it was like a side business.
Wait, another company was selling data? Is this new?
Don't yell at me, Mike. It's loud.
I'm sorry, I won't yell. But you know what it is? It reminds me, I have to say this, all of these situations remind me of one company.
What?
Shout out Scorpion Percussion. Shout out Scorpion
Shout
Percussion.
gonna
out
say
to
Enron or
Scorpion
something.
Percussion for being the scorpionist of all the percussion companies. Shout out Scorpion.
Oh, you know who else it remind me of?
Hannah.
Shout out Hannah. Shout out Hannah.
Hannah. Hannah.
Hannah, give Chris a
Oh,
call.
Hannah. Where
Give
you
Chris
in
a
New
call.
York City? Oh, she's not calling you.
No, she's
No, she's not. Yeah,
She's never calling. She's not watching this. She doesn't realize that we
No,
just
she
have
was-
a running
she
joke
was
going
just,
on
she
about
just
it.
sat down with us to see if we had a table so she could join us. That's why.
How did
No,
you get, how'd
I
you
thought
get
she was
her
actually
number?
genuinely
How'd you
interested
get
in
her
you.
number? That's all. She was like, "Hey, can I sit down next to you?" And you were
He
like,
was like-
"If you give me your
he
phone
was-
number." Like,
No, we were talking about the podcast.
No, he was like, "Hey, I'm a
He was
Marine.
like, hey, give me your.
I got big
he was like, hey, give me your
muscles."
info. So I did. Oh God, here we go. I'm gonna break it out. Fuck. Did you
Yeah.
cleanse them?
hold on.
Did you dunk them? In the,
Oh my
Did you
God!
first?
Are we doing this again? Are we doing this
Dude,
again?
It's Ricardo's,
Oh my
it's Ricardo's
God.
only real contribution to the podcast. is
Pretty
this.
much, yeah.
Let me
Just let me have it. Segments.
It's this thing.
One little thing. Here we go. And Ricardo, let's begin our
Well,
segment.
okay, so I'll tell you what. In concession to this, I'll let you have one weekly running segment about sports.
Oh.
Oh, shut the fuck up! Because if we do that, you're gonna complain for the
if I
1
do,
week.
you're still going to complain for every time I post out the Britney Spears tarot deck, which we've gotten multiple emails about.
Because it's 2 against 1 here. It's 2 against 1 that don't want to do
that's
this
what you
shit.
disagree with. The thing you don't see, Mike, is it's 2 against 2 because it's me and Britney against you.
Oh my god!
Well, so I actually
I
don't
quit.
mind the Britney Spears thing. I mean, I could take it or leave it, honestly, but it's content. Some people like it, some people don't like it. Who cares?
Look, Chris, it's Britney, bitch.
I mean, I said that already, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
Well, I'm repeating it. Okay, look, Chris, it's Hannah,
Wow,
bitch.
Jesus. I think you should lay off the IPAs. Get a little aggressive.
I know.
I'm not gonna lie. This is like a 9%. It's a Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you're
Pretty
coming off
good.
the top. You're coming off the
Hold
top
on.
ropes, buddy.
Well-
It's like Friday. Is it Friday where you're at?
No, this wasn't like when I was with you guys. There was one night I was fucking
All right,
totally
guys.
hammered when I was in Indiana with
It's
you guys.
time for it.
yeah.
And so one of the
There's still
things that
some more
Chris.
of that what are the Glenlivet? Still about.
Oh,
2 inches
when
left in
Ricardo
there, so
Ricardo drank half of it, and he was like, "I'm never doing
I
that
tried to make
again."
a steak
I'm never
with
doing
no
it.
propane. I warned you before the whiskey. I said, "Hey man, I'm not good on whiskey." And then I had whiskey, and you made fun of me because I tried to make steaks without the propane on. And I had warned you before that it wasn't good on.
No, I'm sorry. That was the best. You put a timer on to flip the steaks after Chris told you there was no propane in the fucking grill, and you went outside to flip the steaks to the other side when they were as raw came, and you're arguing with him.
Look, I thought Jesus had my back. Apparently, he was busy doing things somewhere else, and but we got it on.
Oh,
and
I
the steak was
quit.
delicious. Didn't I cook it in the oven?
yeah, in the
Yeah,
oven.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, it's I
Anyways.
found out after you guys left that it's really fucking hard to grill steaks when it's like 12 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's probably
fucking-
better in the broiler. And
No, it was definitely better because like I've gone out there a couple times and I can't get this grill to get to a certain temperature when it's too cold outside.
I got a
That's
simple solution. Get a George Foreman grill.
All right, guys, the dex has been cleansed, and I'm about to pull the card.
Here we
So,
go, ladies and
This
gentlemen.
week's-
Moment of truth.
Hold on a second. We gotta do. Like, I have some music coming up soon that Chris and I are gonna compose together, so it should be interesting.
Oh my
So,
god.
dun dun dun. Rico's weekly Britney Spears tarot card reading. Thanks, guys. Every week we like to go ahead and get in touch with our spirituality. At the same time, giving a shout out to the Queen of Pop, Britney Spears, for all her struggles with spirituality and mental health. We'll pray for her. And go ahead and get in touch with the.
She's got hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm not praying for her.
Yeah. And so we just cleanse the deck, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this week's card and read the meaning from the Britney Spears tarot deck. One momento.
Oh, here we go. Moment
pull
of
it?
truth, everybody.
You want to tell me?
Let Chris pull it. Let Chris pull it.
Yeah, Chris. Oh yeah, Chris will pull it.
By the way, guys, I just want to let you know that Chris and Ricardo are in the same location, 2 feet away from each other.
Tarot reading. This is even better than I thought. Oh shit! Look, he's got the deck.
Oh my god, here we
Pull
go.
it from the top. All right,
Are you
here we
gonna tell
go.
me which one it is?
Here we
Show me
go.
the card, and I'll look it up. Hold it up. It's upside down. You read.
Perfume?
Let me look it up.
Please tell me I'm going to get hair again on my
It
head.
says the perfume queen.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, shit.
Guys, are you ready?
Spray it on my receding
go.
hairline.
Can you hear me?
I can.
All right, take it off the fucking screen.
Can you hear me?
You're so
All right,
loud.
guys.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes, I
your
can hear you.
mic is a little bit loud.
I don't give a shit
Guys,
what you think.
let me hold it up again. Chris, what was it? The perfume queen. Hold up the card while I read, if you would, please. That'd be awesome, so that the viewers can see.
Yes, put it in front of your
That's
face so I don't have to look at that ugly
I can
mug.
put it in front of your face
Guys.
there with Mike.
Not only is Britney a platinum-selling recording artist and pop icon, she's also an entrepreneur. Her first fragrance, curious. Launched in 2004, and since then, Brit has added countless scents to her line. From the gourmand sweet fantasy to the coffee-scented private show to the androgynous prerogative, name a mood, and Britney's got a scent for it. Perfume is one of Britney's passions, and not only are her fragrances delicious, their commercials are practically mini music videos. The perfume queen card is about more than smelling great. It's about expanding your skill set and following your nose to new opportunities. Are you building up the courage to take a leap of faith and follow your heart? Spritz on one of Britney's signature scents and change your life. All right.
Oh, I'm definitely buying it now. I'm definitely buying it.
Ready? It's about expanding your skill set and following your nose to new opportunities.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think this fucking set is just basically about glorifying Britney Spears and going out and buying her products? Because I get that feel every week.
I feel like
nobody answer. Don't rush to answer, guys.
I was trying to use this to come up with metaphors from crazy Britney Spears references.
X's? Crazy X's? You can correlate it back to crazy X's?
I think it's just like a deck that's just a very similar to like a tarot deck, but like instead of, being like the knight, they bring up something from Britney's past and they're like, yeah, Britney demonstrated courage when she launched blah, 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 blah. And so
if you walk down the street and smell dog shit in San Diego, you should move?
Yeah, pretty much. In any case. I have no idea.
You sure it's dog shit or homeless shit?
I don't know. I like it.
Both.
It's good. It's fun. We're going to keep doing it whether they like it or not.
I'm sorry, my bad. I should have never said anything.
No, again, like I said, I don't really like Britney or really care much, but like it's something that
what
if it was just a regular tarot deck? It would.
I would be perfect.
That would be so dumb.
I would love it so much more than the tarot deck with Britney, because Britney's like, oh my god, go buy my perfume. Hey, just like when I was in high school, okay, and my hit single from 2007. Oh, by the way, it's on iTunes. You should download it now.
We're kind of doing the same thing.
We're giving her more publicity for her $500 million net worth.
Let's go, guys. We do have a show today, and it is about topics. Yeah, and we do have some topics. Everything from, that was Rico's Britney Spears tarot reading. Thanks, guys. That was awesome. Thanks. To Minecraft. So one of the things that we've been talking about a little bit is that Budweiser has reclaimed the beer as America's favorite beer. Jeff and I were just talking about this at the studio, how the Modelo kind of like creeped up, and then they started raising the prices, and like it really got expensive. It didn't used to be that expensive just because of the popularity, and then so how long is it going to take until the next beer, kind of topples that and consumers get a little more price sensitive? But anyway, so you guys hear about this?
Yeah, I heard about this. So last year, so this is based on a survey. Last year, Corona actually, I believe it was Corona Extra, was the favorite beer by individuals drinking beers in the United States. This year, though, obviously last year, I think everybody's well aware, there was a horrific marketing campaign that torpedoed, Bud Light's beer campaign. Yeah. So this year, though, everybody has gone back to Bud Light based on that survey, and it's not by a small amount. It was a substantial amount. I really don't understand the thought process, because if I'm drinking beer personally, just by preference, I actually like Coronas better than Bud Light, but I'm in a different demographic. I'm in the Northeast. I think it's different maybe on the coastal areas. Bud Light is known to be a little bit of a cheaper beer in certain parts of the country.
The demographic
and
that you fit into.
Here we go. I know the joke. There's a joke coming here. Say the joke. I'm waiting.
Oh my god.
You're not the demographic Bud Light's targeting.
Asexual male. Yeah.
No.
You're an
I knew you were making a joke.
autosexual.
But no, so realistically though, it was only a matter of time. I thought with Bud Light because it's such a popular beer all over the country. I don't like the taste. I think it's like basically piss water. That's just my feeling about Bud Light. I just don't like the beer. But I can understand why a lot of people like the beer. You could get a 30 rack in certain areas for $12, $15, which is understandable. But it was, I didn't expect them to be to top the list so fast because last year, I mean, they got their marketing campaign took a massive hit to their brand. So I didn't expect this to happen so fast. I thought consumers would have probably remembered that marketing campaign and held their beliefs for a longer period of time, but that's just not
Let
the
me
case.
ask you a question.
Okay, ask me a question. I might have an answer.
The real question: do you think Kid Rock is drinking Bud Light?
The real question is, I would probably say
I bet he is. I bet that
in
motherfucker is
the
drinking Bud Light.
media. Well, that's my whole point. I bet in the media he's probably like, because he was so anti Bud Light after that whole marketing campaign where he was, what was it, with his shotgun he was shooting Bud Light cans. You don't just turn it off. Like you get used to kind of routines and drinks and food that it's like, all right, I'm going to continue drinking this no matter what. So in the media or the public opinion, he probably stopped drinking it. But in his private life, I'm sorry, this guy probably has got more Bud Light in his refrigerators than one of their warehouses.
Safe bet. I think it's safe to say that Kid Rock is probably drinking Bud Light. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. If you're watching this kid, give us a call. Let us know if we're wrong.
Well, he was
I
outspoken.
think there's a couple of things. One, I think like
yeah, but he's also like a big rocker. That's what outspoken people. Yeah, they're all megaphones.
Well, I mean, their marketing over the last 18 months since that whole thing has been very right leaning. They've brought on some conservative comedians to do their commercials. So
Good point. Shane Gillis, Post Malone.
I mean, I don't know how much money they had to spend to get back in the Super Bowl ads, but like they've been back in football, they've been back in a lot of sporting events. And I think on top of that, I think a lot of people like used that time to make content about shooting Bud Light, but I don't think anybody actually literally stopped drinking. I don't think a lot of people, as many people as we think, stopped drinking it because of that. I think a lot of people saw it as fun and they had a good time. They shot some Bud Light cans, and then like 4 months later, they're like, "Yeah, fuck it, I like Bud Light." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but it's so beer drinking though, just in general, also has to do with price point.
well, yeah,
right?
they're cheaper.
If you could get a 30 rack for $9.99, remember when you were in
PBR.
college, like you would go for the PBR, Natty Lights, like that's the way you looked at it. You never were in
I
college?
mean, I have a master's degree, but I did go to college for like a year, but I was like,
No, he was
sorry to hear
military.
that.
They educated him.
Oh,
I joined the Marine Corps
yeah,
at
I know.
19.
It's a joke, Ricardo. Thank you, Ricardo, for the clarification. It was a joke. Jesus Christmas. Okay, come on now. What are you, a snow dog with those glasses on? Anyways,
Scuba
yeah,
Steve
I think
to you, sir. That's Sir
Scuba Steve. Scuba Steve, sorry. No, but Chris, I think is right. I think like what ended up happening is they had a huge marketing campaign. I think they took a hit on their reputational brand, and they were like, "All right, let's pivot." Because I remember during the Super Bowl, they had the ads or the commercials with Shane Gillis and Post Malone, and then they kept those ads going, and Shane Gillis, when he would be on shows, he would talk about it. When he was in general, anytime he was on certain like programs, he would be drinking it. So they did it strategically because it was a smart business move. But also,
I was going to say, unfortunately, what they did is they made it so that Ricardo feels like he has justification for why he does what he does.
What did I
Ricardo drinks, I think, Corona or Modelo.
It means that marketing actually works.
Let me tell you.
Well, he's pretty.
That's true. My marketing actually does work. So this is what I would have done, and I know a lot of people probably, including you guys, won't agree with it. But I mean, like, case study looking back. Obviously, when you're in that situation, there's no way to predict the future. So I have the opportunity of looking backwards, and so I'll treat this like a case study, right? So like I don't know what I would have done in that situation, but if I had the information that I have today and it happened again, the way that I would have done it, if I was the CEO or the director of marketing or whatever, I would have, there would have been all this backlash. And at my next meeting, somebody would have said, "Sir, what do you feel about all this backlash about this marketing campaign?" I would have been like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then they'd be like, something. I was like, did they say anything bad about the beer? Oh, they didn't? Okay. And then I would just ignored it and let it blow over and just being like, "Hey, man, I'm here to produce a good product." Right. And, we have lots of different markets. Some of them work, some of them don't. But I believe freely in letting my marketing department experiment to find what's right. Sometimes things don't work, sometimes don't. I don't bother them. They know what they're doing. I have faith in them. We're still the number one beer in the United States. Thank you for your business. Have a nice day.
Well, I think that's the impression that a lot of companies are doing, and celebrities who are getting pushback. Unfortunately for Bud Light, if I remember correctly, the marketing director that approved this campaign that got the backlash, she got fired. And
that's ridiculous.
But what
that's
you
ridiculous.
were,
who the fuck? These people are paid. We're paid to experiment, right? Like, okay, we got that wrong. Okay, based on the data, like, if you're gonna,
but they lost like 20% market share or something ridiculous.
Yeah, they lost. You got to remember though, you got to know who you're.
Because it was
you lost your audience
because it was amplified. First of all, because there could have been a lot of things that went wrong, and I don't want to play Monday morning quarterback, but I'm just saying, if I was in a position,
please play Monday morning quarterback.
He actually does like it.
Yeah, I would have said that the same thing. You act like nothing happens, and then put out some better marketing, and start putting out better marketing quickly. So there's more better marketing than there is bad marketing.
Well, traditionally, it's always been that way.
Then it wouldn't have lost 20%, man. It would have dipped, but then it would have recovered. And it was the amplification of the fact that Bud Light was like, "Oh, you're right. We don't know what the fuck we're doing." And then everyone's like, "Yeah, this beer sucks." And so, you can't do that shit, dude. You can't fucking sit there and blame your marketing department.
I disagree. I disagree because the problem with that campaign was it turned off your 30-year drinkers of your beer, your 20-year drinkers of your beer.
I don't give a shit if dogs drink the beer.
Hold on. See, that's the problem, though. You need to know your market, just in general. The problem was the campaign wasn't just one campaign. It was supposed to be a continuous campaign of multiple posts and multiple individuals. And so, okay, but the problem is who your individual buyers are. You can't just continue going down a path line. Ricardo, think about it this way. If we have a podcast where we're talking about one topic where nobody wants to listen to, okay, and we get no traction, sometimes you have to turn around and go, okay, we can talk about this topic, but we have to think of it in a different way. We have to change the content that we're talking about. We have to change about the topics and approach it a different perspective. You don't do the same thing over and over and just continue to lose your market share. So shut up and read about Britney Spears again.
I agree. I don't completely agree with everything that you're saying.
I'm not gonna lie. This is fucking strong right now.
I'm not going to disagree with. I'm not going to agree with. I kind of disagree with some of the stuff that you're saying, but I think,
I get it.
who cares? It doesn't really matter.
I'm feeling good. Where's Jeff right now? I'm feeling good. Where's Jeff?
No, I understand what you're trying to say, Mike, but I feel like, in business, we've seen this time and time again. Like, it's corporate America. If you make a really big mistake and the company wants to pivot in a different direction, it's really difficult to pivot in a different direction and keep the face of the mistake on board, right? And so it's like,
somebody's got to be the fallen guy.
We realize that we made some mistakes, whatever, but somebody's got to take the fall, right? And that's corporate America. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean that there isn't space for that to be different? Like, could Bud Light have still recovered and not fired that individual? That's a different question. I don't know the answer to that, but I think Ricardo's saying that there's a good possibility that they could have still shifted the campaign, they could have still kept her on board, and they still would have had the same success.
And I'll tell you why they did. Thank you, Chris. And I'll tell you why they didn't. The reason that they didn't, guys, right? That nobody wants to talk about. Okay, is
Didn't
because
keep her on board, or
no, because the campaign shift had to do with sexuality. And Bud Light, whether it wants to admit it or not, is a sexual lubricant and an aid
True.
in sex. So they felt responsible.
What do you mean
he's
is
going-
sexual lubricant? I'm
When you
a little
drink, you make
confused.
loose decisions and you hook up with people that you don't necessarily want to. And if this campaign was like a Mexican campaign, it's a bunch of Mexicans with some burritos, and it failed, nobody would have had a shitstorm. But because Bud Light is directly involved as a sexual lubricant, and they chose to go with a different sexual preference, a lot of people were personally offended and some were scared.
I've never looked at it that way.
That's
I'm not
Ricardo's-
going to
that's
comment on it
Ricardo's
that way
mind
because
going on
I
now.
don't. Yeah, because I've actually never looked at it that way. So I actually am flabbergasted and don't even have a
That's okay.
response because I haven't even been able to formulate an
That's
opinion
okay. That's
in that
okay.
regards. So, but no, I'm going to be honest. That's a very good point. I never really thought of it that way. I always thought of it from, okay, I'm just going to get drunk, and
poor
the thought
decisions.
process of how am I going to get drunk? Yeah, and make poor decisions. I never looked
Am
at
I gonna
it
get drunk?
from the
First of all,
psychosis
That's
here's the
way.
psychosis
thing,
at all.
Mike,
It's
we-
sex, I'm telling
as
you.
men, we would never really.
Wait, you're a man?
So here's the thing: we would never really like fall in love with drinking if it didn't result in getting laid.
I fall in love with drinking to drown out my
I'm telling
problems.
you
I don't
right
know
now,
what the fuck
like,
you're talking
women,
about.
Women have so much
Maybe
power
one of
in
your
this world.
problems is you're not getting
Women have
laid.
so much power in this world. Because
Shut the fuck up,
the
Ricardo.
outcome of drinking is usually bad, right? You usually end up have a hangover. Usually make poor decisions. If those poor decisions never
What are you talking about? It's
resulted in
great.
getting laid, people would not drink. Guaranteed.
I don't drink to get laid.
You
I
did
drink
when you
to
were
forget
younger.
about my
When you
life.
were 21, you couldn't wait to drink because like
Oh, no, it was the beer muscles.
as soon as you figured out that drinking leads to getting laid, that's why we drink.
Men would not.
I don't know where you're from, but I'd never thought
Their
about
food
that.
delivery
Not
was
consciously.
invented. If men didn't have sex, nobody would leave the house. Let me tell you.
Yo, what the fuck?
100%.
We're just going to correlate everything.
Our motivation for
Oh.
almost everything is to get laid.
Okay, I agree. I want to hear more about this thing.
Okay,
though.
what's the next topic?
Guys, is Minecraft frenzy of fans destroying movie theaters. So I've heard nothing about this at all.
I heard the movie
guys.
didn't do well.
You haven't
No,
heard
no,
about
no,
this?
This is really this is the
First
one
of
that
all,
I'm most curious about as well.
No, the movie is actually doing
is,
well.
okay.
So, yeah. So the crazy thing is there is now a frenzy going on where a bunch of Minecraft like fans are going to the movie theaters to watch the movie, and there's a specific scene where there is a chicken song, and once the chicken starts like singing or whatever the case is, or starts rehearsing the words or whatever, people go nuts. They've been throwing shit all over the movie theaters. It's gotten to the point where movie theaters have turned around and started throwing people out of movies. They've warned people at the movie theaters that if any behavior, excessive behavior happens, they're going to get kicked out. I forgot where it was. I was reading an article about I think it was like Ohio. They literally cut the movie off before the scene happened because it got to a point where people were just too rowdy. Well, I'm not a Minecraft person. I know, Chris, you like stay in your room and play Minecraft all day. So I really wanted to ask you your thoughts about this because
I've never played Minecraft in my life.
no, I mean it's absolutely out of control. Like, here we go.
Steve's Lava Chicken Song.
the scene. I have the scene.
Uh-oh. All right, let's watch it.
Is it the scene?
You hear that? That's the sound of sizzling.
No, this is not the scene. This is not the scene. Ricardo, this is not the scene.
No, that's not the scene.
No, that's not the scene. It's when they're fighting. They're about to fight.
My bad.
So, anyways, I would have never thought to go into a movie theater when a scene comes on, like where it's an exciting scene, to just completely fucking trash the movie theater. I don't know about you guys, but
We
I
definitely
think
have
this is.
different backgrounds.
I don't know, but yeah, the movie theaters you go to are like fucking porn
No,
theaters.
that's not what I was talking about, man. The Matrix, when the fucking like fight scene came with the Matrix, I was ready to break some stuff in the movie theater. There was like little kids like play fighting in the front of the theater. I thought it was great.
Remember when the Batman shooting happened?
Yeah.
Batman movie started and somebody shot up the theater.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, that was not based on the movie
No,
though.
but you know,
Like
the last time I could think of something that
so the whole crazy thing though, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because it's kind of a little bit like of a societal thing. It started to become after like the first couple of like showings where it started getting popular on social media, it blew up and all of a sudden it started happening more and more. And now if you go on social media and you type in like a hashtag Minecraft movie or something, you see all these different theaters around the country. It's become like a trend now or a viral moment where people are actually destroying. There was a video that I saw where somebody threw like a Pepsi can or drink through the screen in the movie theater, like when the scene came on.
Yeah, there's a lot of that nowadays, especially when you have something that's that reaches a ton of people. I mean, Minecraft. I mean, so many people play Minecraft. So many people watch. All they do is watch YouTube videos of Minecraft and then play Minecraft. It's like Halo or something. But then I think all it takes is like one instance of somebody going crazy for something and that's that popular that it's wildfire on social media. Like just.
Yeah, it was like when I watched Titanic in the movie theaters, and Rose and what's her name died, and Leo died. Like when he drifted off, I went crazy. I threw my fucking Coca-Cola through the screen, and I was like, "No!"
I was so happy. I was so happy.
You may not want to share that.
I was. I hated him in the movie there.
Every girl I ever tried to date was like, "I love Leonardo DiCaprio," and I was like, when he drowned, I was like, "Yes, fuck you."
Share that with people.
Mm-hmm. When I had hair, people said because I had like light blue eyes, I look like him,
No,
and I
they
would
didn't.
take that. They did. They also said I looked like Brad Pitt.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
They said actually. Oh, so
But you know it'd be like.
yes, they did. So we're not gonna go.
Next tarot card.
Huh?
Mike?
Shut the fuck up.
All right, well, hold on. What do we got? This is interesting too. All right, guys. Next topic is transplanted
God.
pig kidney removed after functioning in patient for 4 months. What
I
happened?
was a removed.
Yeah. So
What happened?
So pretty much basically several months ago there was a genetically like engineered like pig kidney, if I remember correctly, that was put into a human. So it was the first time that's ever happened.
So they genetically engineered the pig for specifically to pull
Yeah,
the
the
kidney
kidney.
from the pig and use it for this purpose.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So they put it into a human. It lasted basically for 4 months. The female basically had a reduction in renal like function due to acute rejection. So it lasted for 4 months before she actually started like having health issues because of it. So I believe it was earlier this month. I can't remember what day it was, but they actually had to remove it. They had to put her back on dialysis. But the fact that we were able to use a pig kidney
It's not gonna work.
when people have it didn't work.
I mean,
What do you mean it's not going to work? It worked for 4
The
months.
body's going to reject it. I think the only solution is going to be to use stem cells to either incubate a kidney with the DNA of the patient, so the body believes that the kidney is of natural origin, or to clone a part of a human being into harvest it from there. I think that's what the law.
You
I
think,
don't think
you think we're never going to be able to clone or use like animal organs for issues that
No,
humans have?
I don't know. I don't know
not
enough about it,
big-
but I feel like eventually we could probably figure it out.
I think we're on the path for that. 100%. I think we're definitely on the path. If they're already putting pig kidneys into humans and they're lasting for 4 months, I think it's only a matter of tweaking and working out like the issues before they start perfecting it. Jesus, we just created dire wolves from Game of Thrones. I think we can create, the
yeah, but
pig
do those
kidneys.
dire wolves have healthy kidney functions?
Yes.
That's the real question. Yeah, that was really cool. Did you guys see that? I watched a little bit of the clip with Rogan and the gentleman who financed it all, the guy who was like from, he was from Silicon Valley and, started getting into this. But it's really interesting. They're gonna farm them out there. They're gonna have about 5 or 6 of them. They're gonna let them kind of run wild. He went through the whole process of how they found the actual DNA, how it wasn't complete. That they had actually had some of it from I forget where it was. It's somewhere that they had gotten it in Alaska. All right, talk now.
Okay, go.
Is it lower
that's
now?
better.
That's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was some other DNA that they found. And so this is really interesting. So they had part of it from a bone or like a tooth or something they found in a riverbed, but it wasn't complete. And he was talking about how many sequences they need. Like I think it's 10 in order to multiply it out. And then he was talking about how they discovered that there's this bone it's in your skull and it's in like the earlobe portion, right? And for some reason, it's really compact and has a lot of DNA. And so they asked because they had dire wolf skulls, I guess, in some museums. And so they reached out to these museums and asked them, "Hey, can we come in there and drill a hole in your like 10,000-year-old skull and pull out this bone?" And you can look it up if you watch a Rogan clip. And pull this DNA, and they were like, "Okay, cool." And so they did. So they were able to complete that sequence, and that's how they got to the point where they were able to bring the direwolf back. Really interesting story. Yeah.
So here's the thing. I mean, how do
Jurassic
we know
World,
that it's
baby.
really a direwolf?
I was thinking the same fucking thing. I was thinking this. I was like, what if
I
this
saw the
motherfucker
pictures,
was
like,
pink?
It's a wolf.
They're like,
Yeah,
no,
I
let's
mean,
make
like,
it
how do we
white.
know?
Yeah,
Now,
what
if
if
that-
it was like
No,
rainbow?
I'll tell you how.
Motherfucker is like as tall as a human being. I'll be like,
No,
okay,
no,
cool.
but
I'll
he
tell
was
you
saying
why.
6 months
Because-
old, it was like already 65 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
big as
but
fuck.
I'm going to
Big-
tell
it's
you
big
how
as
I
fuck.
would know.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen an Irish
I'll
wolfhound?
see it in person.
Like,
No, it's all right. I'll tell you how.
Tell us.
After I see it in person, I'm going to turn on Game of Thrones and compare between both. And then once I realize what the direwolf that's AI generated in Game of Thrones, I'll compare it to the real actual direwolf.
What are you gonna do
And
about it if it's not?
put two
What
and
are you
two
gonna do if
together.
it's not?
I'm not. I'm probably going to adopt one because those things look fun as shit.
I
So
have
I'm
a
going to
thing,
make sure
though,
it's the
you know,
protector.
Wait,
I feel like
guys.
we saw a whole movie about this and how it's a bad idea. Right?
Jurassic Cock.
Jurassic Park. I mean, there's like,
Jurassic Cock.
is that the version that you saw, Ricardo? Is that the?
Yeah, he saw it in San Diego.
Oh, that's
Italy.
right. Ricardo was in Jurassic Cock. He was at U of A when they filmed it.
Oh, that's ASU, by the way.
No,
I went to
yeah, yeah.
ASU. Was the president of ASU got kicked out of his presidency for being
And just
porn,
a-
yeah.
And-
Gay porn was at U of A.
I was
Yeah,
just,
gay
I
porn
was
at
going to
U of A.
clarify with the
Yeah,
gay
it was
porn.
straight
Yeah. Yeah, that's a job.
Yeah, that's not the Jurassic. That's not the Jurassic triad period. I was with at all.
Okay, stop, please. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. How would we be able to determine that?
Bring
Like,
back the
we're just
dodo bird.
basically
Let's go.
going off.
I think okay. So here's my question, guys. Let's just say this gets really cool. What would you animal from history would you bring back if like this guy called us and was like, "Hey guys, I love Almost Patriots." Actually came up with that name. My first son's name is Almost. My second son's name is Patriots. I also happen to be
A Third Son's
I also
podcast.
happen to be a diabolical genetic engineer, and I want to bring you guys any animal of your choice. Ricardo, Mike, Elvis. Which animal do you want me to bring back? I happen to have Klaus Schwab's keys to his summer home, and he has the DNA of everything that ever existed at his house. What would you bring back?
I'm going Predator.
That's not an animal. I mean, like a real Mike. If you're not going to play the game right, just don't play at all.
I would want to bring back like feminine
For yourself.
women.
Like you'd have to fucking like have that in your home.
Oh, that's
Like
a
you
good
have
one.
to take care of it. Like he's not
Yeah,
gonna like
yeah.
house it.
I want to
for
bring
you.
back feminine
Yeah.
women.
I mean that also is a bullshit. answer, but
women.
let's start it over again.
We just lost. We lost the
All
thousand
right, you
subscribers.
get one
on
more
that one.
chance before I break out the Britney Spears deck again. Let's try this again. Which animal would you bring back from history?
Trying to think of like which animals are
Alien Romulus.
endangered species that would bring back. Um, well, I mean, like there's a lot of dog species. I mean, the Irish Wolfhound is not a true Irish Wolfhound species. So if you're gonna bring back the dire wolf, you got to bring back the Irish Wolfhound which was like the counter to the dire wolf. So like Irish Wolfhounds were like the same size as dire wolves back then. Because like Irish Wolfhounds have like really bad genetic problems. They live for like 6 years maximum because they have so many problems because they're so inbred. The carrier pigeon probably up there. I know there's some tiger species that are gone that would be pretty cool to bring back. The dodo bird, right? You got to bring back the dodo bird for sure.
You said it 14 times
love the
already,
dodo bird,
but
man.
we got that. That was probably the number one. I'm gonna go with the woolly mammoth.
Woolly mammoth.
Because I want to compare myself. I want to compare myself with the woolly, and
You're gonna have a dick
see if
measuring
there's any
competition with a woolly
correlation.
mammoth? No, megalodon. Let's bring back the megalodon. Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Dude, and then I'll call Jason Statham, and we'll go out in the deep.
I think I would
See if we
do
can take a couple of those
like
bad boys
woolly
down.
mammoth, like if they could make a mini woolly mammoth, that would be pretty cool. Or it'd be really cool is like a little saber-toothed tiger. Those like a cat size with like a big ass fucking teeth, and they thought it was all bad, but the teeth weren't really that big in comparison to your foot. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
dude. What we need to do.
The other, you know what else?
They would become
what else
a
I would
pet.
bring back is Tupac, and just to see,
That's
Shut the
that's my
fuck
bullshit
up.
answer. No,
You made fun of me for
Go ahead,
making
bullshit
the
answer.
predator
I can
joke,
do my
and
bullshit answer too.
dude, you gotta bring back the megalodon and then create our own giant squids, and then create arenas where giant squids and megalodons fight.
That would be
what
dope.
the
That would be
fuck are you
super
talking?
Fucking awesome,
That would be dope.
Oh, it's an entertaining sport now.
dude.
So I mean,
God.
normally we would
Yeah.
talk about like the morality of all this, but like I don't give a fuck about any. Like I'm down.
No,
I'm
alcohol's
down to
involved. We're not
grow,
talking about any
if you
morality.
can grow another version of me, and in 10 years, anytime my kidneys fail, you can just pull them out. Like have that motherfucker chilling, just teaching some
What's that movie
music.
called? The Island? Is that the
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with Scarlett
I'm all about
Johansson.
that. I'm cool with that.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can move on to. Oh, I don't know if I want to talk about this. This is what I want to talk about. Let's talk about this leaded and unleaded. This is a cool topic that Chris brought up earlier about sort of like the definite, like sort of like the how do you call it?
Question everything.
Middleman economy is the best way to put it, right? The middleman economy. People kind of creating and putting themselves in between transactions
Yeah.
that don't really belong there. Yeah. Go ahead with this one, man.
Well, so I lived in. For those of you who didn't know, I lived in Saudi Arabia for 18 months, and everything they have left. They don't have
The
unleaded
fuck?
fuel in the Middle East. So
What?
unleaded fuel in the Middle East. So I was thinking about it.
Hey Chris, why is that?
It's cheaper. It's way cheaper. Yeah, you don't have to yell, but it's way cheaper. It's way cheaper to make unleaded fuel versus leaded fuel versus unleaded fuel. So I was just thinking about my brain goes in overdrive sometimes. So I was like curious. So I went to look at why we have unleaded gas, and it was talking about the health benefits of unleaded versus leaded, and then it was also talking about how leaded fuel gunks up carburetors, and the only purpose for a carburetor is for emissions, right? Which is this whole CO2 thing for climate change, right? And so ultimately it was like, okay, it's a climate change thing and it's also potentially a health thing. But then I looked at like cancer, like lung cancer in the Middle East versus lung cancer everywhere else, and lung cancer in the Middle East is lower than everywhere else. So clearly leaded fuel is not causing health issues in the Middle East. So then, and I was thinking about this, like unleaded versus leaded. Like this is not something that we question. This is just like that's the thing. All fuels unleaded. But I think like what we're seeing now with a lot of this government corruption that's being uncovered is like we got to question everything, like everything, because like some of the shit, and I could be completely wrong for the record. I could be completely off base, but I just see like somebody's getting paid for us to process fuel more than the whole Middle East, and it's more expensive to the consumer, and we don't know why. We don't know why they did it, why they chose somebody's making money, Somebody's making money on this
Whoever's
process.
getting paid to unlead the lead, you know what I'm saying? That motherfucker's rich too. I think
And
I
there's
like
probably
that.
they probably paid some researcher to publish something that said it's certain whatever that they
I
wanted.
feel like
and now
AI is
it's
going to
just-
wipe a lot of that shit out. I feel like
Yeah,
AI is going to be like,
but you got to remember a lot of these systems were created so long ago, and cars, the way that cars generate like gas mileage and so forth, it was a system that was set up, and the unique thing about the modern age is the internet. The internet opens the door, or it's like it shows you that things that you originally thought are not necessarily true. You said something really interesting though. It's like, and you said, I don't know if this is true. Like, I don't know if I'm accurate, but that's the beauty of the internet. You can do your own research and see these things. And I say that with everything. It's not just lead, unlead. It's Ricardo's glasses or no glasses. It's just in
shout out
general.
Tom Ford.
Yeah, it's a multitude of things. So I think it's important to do your own research on everything, but it's all about systems because, quite frankly, Tom Ford makes great glasses in Ricardo's thought process. I think they're abomination. So it's all about perspective and doing your research.
Abomination.
Well, gas is like so expensive over here versus the Middle East, and obviously a lot of it comes from the Middle East. I get that, but like
Yeah, but they have the oil refineries, though. They have.
trickle down economics. Eventually, like somebody's got to pay for it, and I feel like somebody's making money somewhere, and it's costing the American people more. And is it better, or is it literally a health thing, and is it literally a climate change thing? And if that's the case, then should people have the option to have a cheaper version?
But
like-
let's ask California. How's the gas situation going on in California? I heard
The gas
California
definitely
does a great job.
Any fucking cheaper out here than it was whenever.
Why don't we
I
ask
mean,
Gavin Newsom?
I don't know where that bitch is at, but it's
That's
definitely
another
not.
one.
doing a great
California
job.
adds that winter preservative,
I
Prist
don't
or
know what
whatever
they're
it is.
doing.
That add
It's
that
the same shit,
So like
you know?
gas is more expensive in the winter in California than it is in the summer.
Any
And
possible
so there's an
reason
additive. Yeah,
that
somebody's
man
making money off
has.
that.
Yeah, they're like, oh shit, you wanted a T-shirt with sleeves? Oh, hold on a second,
Oh,
raise
hold
it.
on.
Yeah,
Let me-
yeah.
let me
Oh,
get my
there's
cousin-
a
my
tax
cousin, the
on
sleep maker,
sleeves.
paid, yeah.
Oh yeah, they're like, oh, you wanted a T-shirt with the word T in it? Okay, that's another $25.
Yeah,
You
my
know,
buddy
like,
owns
oh,
No,
Tea.
no. We're gonna
Owns
we're gonna
letter
pass
tea
a
in California.
regulation for that.
Yeah,
Right.
We're gonna pass a
exactly.
regulation for that.
yeah, oh, you want to learn how to fish? Let me set up fishing license office real quick. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, basically.
God.
But anyways, I mean, it is what it is. We have electric cars, and everything. The prices of everything, I think, is going to go up in general.
Yeah.
I just think that local economies are going to be a little bit more important, like we're seeing, sort of fundamentally to people's day to day income. It's California is a very expensive place. We're in the desert. People don't realize that. They're like, oh, California, but like we're in the fucking desert, and so like we're trying to build a beach community in the middle of the desert out here in Southern California. Northern California is great, but they're not going to be around very long once that earthquake hits. But that's kind of why
When you say
moving.
Northern California, you mean San Francisco? Because
I mean that's why they're moving the A's. They know they move Oakland. They're like, we're out of here. I'm telling you, dude. I love
They
all
have the
those.
bunkers.
I love all those .comers, but .goodbye. Nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
But,
they have their bunkers.
Yeah, some of them do. The other ones, I'm just gonna laugh. You should send me your stuff. Anyways, but yeah, I don't like this either. It doesn't really matter out here because it will tax whatever you try to bring into the state. And I think the dependence on oil is going to be a little bit more relieved. Apparently, the administration has some much more liberal points of view when it comes to like what we can use as natural resources. And if we can turn this back into a surplus situation, I think we're going to start seeing. This is what will happen. Gas can get really cheap, and then everyone's going to push for electric for no apparent reason, only because they can't make any more money in the gas market, right? And so
Right.
that's where the electric push will come from.
So you ever heard the statement "drill, baby, drill"? I don't know who said that, but I feel like
we're not talking about Bud Light anymore, by the way.
As long as it wasn't my dentist.
no. I think you hit a valuable topic. Definitely, gas is oil is going to come back. Trump just had, I think it was like, I forgot what it was, what coalition it was, where they talked about it and how he wants to open. I can't hear you. What'd you say?
The coal miners. He had
Yeah,
them at the
the
White
coal
House.
miners. Yeah, so he's pushing for that a little bit more, and quite honestly, I understand why. You know, like California's electric, like I don't want to just talk about California, but the EV or the alternate, energy sources. We don't have an infrastructure for that right now. That takes time, and I don't think like it's gonna happen overnight. It's gonna take a very long period of time, and if you want to sit here and say solar, wind, etc., I think those are great ideas. Any way you can create energy, but the problem is if you think you're just going to turn one off and go completely 100% in another direction, we just don't have the setup for that.
Give a shout out to Jeff Corrigan, one of our longtime viewers, also a customer. Yeah,
Jeffy Jeff.
Jeff said okay, but lead is for sure. I agree. I think Jeff's right. I don't. I definitely don't want lead in my paint, in my Popeye's chicken. Probably not in my gas. Doesn't so.
But I do want in my pencil.
Oh, my mic needs to be turned down a little. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. That's better. But yeah, no, I think that lead for sure is poison. So I think it's more about just keeping people healthy. I know that Jeff and I had to have some discussions about how we think that most of the boomers are making insane sociopathic decisions because they were raised when there was still lead and asbestos in the paint in the houses and nobody knew any better. And so it's like a mass defect.
Yeah, but they've also lasted a lot longer than the previous generations.
Only because of Nordic Trek.
Do you I'm not going to go into this topic, but continue.
No. It's just shout out to Turbo. That's all I wanted to do. A little shout out.
Trek? What's up with Nordic Trek?
My dad does the Nordic Trek. Right, he got one of those when I was like 11, and he just does it. We can't run because his knees got all fucked up, and so he did that every day for the rest of his whole life. Now he walks, but I mean he's 91, so I always say, hey, get that Nordic Trek. It's like $3.99.
Carter, you got some good. You got some good genes. Your father's 91 years old.
Shout out, Dad.
Seriously, you're 77, so he was 14 when he had you?
I don't know. I mean, if you ask your mom, she remembers a lot better than he does.
Oh, fuck you. You really remember my mom. Ladies and gentlemen, Ricardo has a fascination with my mother.
Sorry, Mrs. Anonymous. No, I'm just kidding.
Mike's awesome. Mike's mom's awesome.
Mike's mom is awesome. All right, guys. Do you guys want to talk about internal versus external decision making or accepting your shadow?
Ooh, that's a good one.
You tell me. I don't know.
Ricardo, you pick the topic, Ricardo, while I open up another 9% Voodoo Ranger.
All right, let's go. I'm going to go with external versus internal decision making. And so this is something I tapped into a little bit with Chris earlier, but so one of the things that, at least as a creative, and I think a lot of people do, I don't know whether they do it with voice or with imagery, and I think that's probably a really good way to kind of distinguish sort of how you ideate. And so I always do I do it with imagery a lot, right? So I imagine scenarios in the future, I imagine sort of outcomes, and try to make them as realistic as possible so that I can be more accurate at what I'm doing in my head. And so for all this time, in earlier in my life, I had always heard that being externally motivated, right, was the wrong thing. And I was like, okay, you can't have externally motivated goals, right? And so I would picture this thing, and I would picture a lifestyle, or I would picture a moment, or I'd picture something happening in the external, and it was really hard for me to understand what it would mean to I always knew what internal goals were and how to set them, but I didn't know how to play them out or how to visualize them into the future. And so for me, I kind of had an epiphany and was kind of realizing all this stuff. Bret Hart, yep, absolutely. I was realizing all this stuff, and one of the things I was realizing was that okay, so the way that now I understand how to make sort of an internal sort of future movie of myself is to envision myself as a character that acts a certain way that may be different, especially when it comes to growth, right, than the way that I would normally act if I was just to follow my feelings in a given situation, right? And so an internal like projection versus an external one would be like, hey man, I'm in a car, with like a hot chick and driving to like a movie premiere, right? That's external. An internal one would be like, hey, I'm in a difficult situation in the future, right? Where somebody acted a certain way where in the past I was triggered and I reacted, right? But in the future, what I want to see is the character that I want to play out in my life act in this way. And this is the way that he handles that situation. And so projecting that into the future and seeing that character handle a situation that you wish you would have or that you want to will help you, and it helps me set goals in the future that are internal, because getting to that point won't happen in the first time that you are faced with that situation. You're going to have to try over and over again.
So, Ricardo, I just have to ask a quick question. So, when you say external versus internal decision making, external is based on materialism, and internal is
based on right. Anything external from your control internally. So external would be like an outcome that has to do with like anything
influence.
Material.
So I'm doing. So for example, using
an internal decision is like, should I get up and eat a cheeseburger right now?
Yeah. So where I'm
an
trying
external
to
decision is, I really wish I had $10 to buy a cheeseburger. How do I get $10 to get that cheeseburger? My life will be better once I have it.
Gotcha. Hey, Bret Hart, what's your thought process on that?
I'll be back.
That's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Terminator, but that's not Bret Hart.
Don't really understand. I guess it sounds like external is like influenced by
That's what I thought.
Something external, right? But I feel like everything is influencing our decision making. So how to differentiate between internal and external? Because the thing you said, I want a cheeseburger that's internal, but I don't have $10 to buy a cheeseburger that's external. But I feel like they're both internal. So I don't really.
But if you have a credit card, you can get that.
Because if In-N-Out influences your desire for a cheeseburger, that's an external decision.
No. But I mean, like that's you're begging a lot of questions there. I think what I'm trying to say is that, like, so normally what I would say is like, or somebody would think about would be, it'd be really great if this entered my life or I was in this situation. Right, really great if I went to a party and met a cute girl, right? Like that would be like an external thing. I'll be happy. My goal is to meet someone, right? And that's what you envision in the future, right? And an internal sort of goal or decision that you make would be like, hey man, I can't wait to go to a party and not be preoccupied with whether or not I should meet a girl. And that's an internal goal versus the external goal.
So you're saying that your motivations are not externally influenced. So
correct.
Like you're going to the party because you want to like socialize, not because you need a desired outcome from the party.
Well, you may go to the party, or like, I'm not saying that would be behaviorally retro, but I'm talking about when you're ideating, when you're decision making, when you're planning into the future. Instead of planning for some outcome that may be situational or material based, plan for an outcome that is more in line with the character that you want to show in that decision.
Right. Yeah, I don't.
Mike, stop typing. I don't want to read this shit right now. Just say it.
I'm so utterly fucking confused by your external versus internal decision making and the examples you give. No, I'm going to explain. So the way I think of it, right, is external decision making. Okay, I want a nice car. I make a decision based on driving a nice car to impress people. Internally, I think, yeah, maybe I don't want that nice car, but it's because it's showing my success. So there's two elements to it. So internally, it's my success, where externally, it's showing everybody else.
Right.
The reason why I make that decision.
What I'm saying is that, like, you can project into the future the same way that you would project a plan to get the car, a plan to become a person where you don't care so much about the car. Right? Because what you say, like, normally you're like, I need to get a car, I need to do this. Right, and then you say to yourself, "Oh, gee, I wish I was the kind of person that didn't care so much about the car, and then that's like in the moment. There's no plan to change that, right?
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? There's no actionable plan, but you can say like, hey, look, maybe instead of the car, I'm going to put together a plan to be the person that doesn't need that car, and that's an internal projection.
Yeah. So externally, I think I'm Brittany, bitch, but internally, when I'm making those decisions, I'm thinking of curious her preferring.
The way that you're explaining this, Ricardo, is essentially like outcome driven decision making versus the journey. Like
Yeah.
life, like the journey, right? Whatever the journey is, there's no outcome that you're really searching for. You're just sort of trying to experience life and experience the process of experience life, I guess.
Yeah, where I just get caught up is the external internal decision making. I'm thinking of the reason why you're making those decisions externally and internally because I look at it philosophically as two different things. Ricardo is talking about the kind of the future decision making and why you do both of those things.
But more like
which-
goal setting is really what I
Yeah.
probably should have titled
So yeah, so I understand that thought process and I can explain it in a different way,
that.
but
Should have been goal setting instead of decision making.
goal setting, correct.
Hey guys, I don't know about you, but sometimes I have a hard time.
I need a Bud Light at work.
Separating work anxiety from my personal life.
Yeah, this is one of my topics, and I want to ask you guys this
No,
because
this is not. Let me just clarify with the audience. Mike has two types of topics. Right? He has one topic that he wants to rant about. Okay, and he's like, "Oh, I want to rant about this shit." And then he has another topic where he's like, "All right, instead of going to my therapist, I'm just going to ask everybody."
I'm gonna talk with everybody here.
Yeah, give me some suggestions for this.
I need suggestions here.
exactly.
So
exactly.
I don't know if you guys have this problem where you can separate your work anxiety, which is your your projects or the things you need to do from your personal life. Me personally, I take everything home. Even when I sleep, I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, oh shit, I got to get this motion done. I got this court appearance. I got to get this deposition done. And believe it or not, it ruined so much of my personal life on the weekends. Ricardo, we were talking about this on the phone the other day. Ricardo was asking me, he was like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, oh, I got this. And I was skipping statements. I was jumping and talking in my mind like paragraphs ahead. And Ricardo was like, wait, what the fuck did you just say to me? He was like, no, you mean this, this, this. Why don't we explain this? My point, and I want to ask you guys, how do you separate your work anxiety from your personal life? How do you create a situation where when you're in your personal time, it's your personal time, you enjoy your life? Or are you not able to do that?
Okay. All right. So I did 13 years active duty in the Marine Corps, and I couldn't do it. I had to get out. And so I got out. I focused on some things. I removed myself from like basically a cortisol drowning lifestyle that I was in. And once the cortisol levels were down, once I removed a ton of stress, once I sort of stabilized a lot of sort of financial stuff and emotional stuff, I went and read that book, Body Keeps Score, to try to sort of uncap some of my trauma. And once I did all of that, then I was able to work from 9 to 5 and turn that shit off. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Now, I would say that some of the problem is that like if you can't, if you're incapable of leaving work at work, then one of the mental mechanisms, like physical mechanisms that I've seen that has really worked in the Marine Corps. So I don't know if this works as a lawyer, but some people do not wear their uniform home. So like they take their uniform off at the end of the day and they put their civilian clothes on so that they don't bring the stress of work home. And so for you, I would say like try it, like wear your suit, and then once work is over, like change and then go home so you have a physical manifestation of the shift, and that
So,
might help the
but does
mental
it?
side.
So, Chris, I'm going to ask you this: does it stay on your mind? Like, meaning, like, it's very hard for me personally on Friday at 5 o'clock to sit there and turn around and say,
Well,
"Hey, I don't have this motion due on Monday or a motion due on Tuesday," because the entire weekend I'm thinking of my schedule for the next week. Whereas on Saturday, like when Friday 5 o'clock hits, on Saturday I'm thinking, "Fuck, I got Monday this, Tuesday I
So
got that."
schedule time on Sunday to do that. So like set an alarm, set a whatever you need to do on say Sunday at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever. I'm gonna look at my schedule for the week and I'm gonna process that information. But like
well,
Yeah,
you gotta
I think
separate the
you have to change your mindset, Mike, a little bit. And so, like, one of the things I think that's really important about the way that people deal with work and anxiety, and coming from my experience, is going to be the fact that a lot of people believe that their work defines who they are, and really, the difference is close. It's not the work that defines who you are; it's how you deal with work that defines who you are. Right? Like, do you show integrity? Are you master at what you do? Do you value your time as much as your employers do? Right? Right? And so, like, one of those things that's going to help you do that is setting boundaries. Right? Because once become productive, right, and even when you're doing something that you enjoy, you have to set boundaries, and then that's where the thing that Chris is talking about really helps, right? Where you have like sort of like schedule boundaries for yourself, at least for men, right? That helps us. But this is a boundary setting exercise, like 101, right? And so the difference is that like the work that you do for your company is a contribution that you make, right? But it's not the work itself that's suffering, or else you would get feedback from your superiors that you're not satisfactory. It's how your psyche deals with the work is the battle that you need to win. And in order to do that, you have to respect yourself, and you have to be a little kinder to yourself, and you have to schedule like times where you have to turn that off and find activities to do that.
Well, I would say this. So I don't talk about my personal life really often, and we're in therapy sessions, so uh, therapist, client, patient,
got my
confidentiality.
PhD in Mike's shit.
Yeah. Um, I can tell you in past relationships that I've had, this has been a real issue. And I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys have dealt with this, where it's you're always thinking about your job, you're always thinking about what's happening, what you have to prepare for, that actually impacts your relationship.
Ask
Go ahead,
any one of my
Chris.
friends. Ask any one of my friends who was trying to be in my life when I was an active duty Marine. They would all tell you the same thing. That like work was like way more important than them. And um, I used to always essentially subconsciously choose the if I had to choose between whether or not I wanted to ask my boss if I could have the time off, or whether or not my friends would just accommodate my not being available, I would always
Mm-hmm.
choose that my friends would just accommodate me not being available, because I would rather have that conversation than try to justify it with my boss when I was a
Mm-hmm.
Marine, right? And so that's what you have to do, man. I think honestly, the best thing you can do is take a really hard look at the choices that you make when it comes to your time off. And
Mm-hmm.
if when you think about your boss, like if you were saying, if you're going to ask your boss, hey, like, can I like completely let go of work Saturday and Sunday? And he goes, oh yeah, 100%. Then that means that you're putting the pressure on yourself. It's not your work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I think it has
yeah,
more about like the way that the conversation that you're having with yourself. And like one of the things with anxiety, at least when it comes to professional anxiety, a lot of it is stemmed from the fact that like you're thinking about something that you for some reason feel like you're failing to take action on. Right, that's the anxiety. Right, that's for professional anxiety. For anxiety from life, I think it's your ability to perform in a given situation in the future that you think you're not going to do well, and that's what anxiety caused. Right, but professionally, like I do believe that like it stems from that. Right, and so like one of the things that you can do is like, or at least for professional anxiety, is like break down the things that you think are making you anxious and force yourself to write down one action that you can take, whether it's the good one or not one. At least you have a pathway and force.
Yeah.
So it's like, shit, my license is suspended. Okay, what can I can go to the
Whoa.
DMV, right? Whatever. I'm just giving examples, right? Like of all this
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
right? I can go to the DMV, right? My mom's in jail. Okay. What's the first step? Okay, I got to call the court. All right, call the court. Right, so like just make sure that the things that are professional, that aren't personal and trivial, that you've at least put down in action the next step, and that often tends to stem a lot of the anxiety away, because I find that professional anxiety comes from some sort of sentiment that comes from some sort of failure, like I need to take action on this, right? And
Well,
so if you write that down, it kind of like, for me at least,
Well,
it helps.
to Ricardo's point, I would change that slightly, right? And I would say find like a major event, okay, and then tear it down. So like, let's say your parents die. Would you feel comfortable asking for the time off from work, right? Okay, and then go down to the DMV, right? If your license was expired or you needed to do your DMV registration, and you asked for time off from work, would you feel comfortable doing that? And then it's like, then you go down to like the little shit, like if my friend was in town and I wanted to take a couple hours to like go hang out with them, would I feel comfortable asking for the time off? And then
The fuck
wherever
are you
that,
saying? You came to New
no,
York
No, I
a couple
agree,
weeks
yeah.
ago.
no, but
And
wherever
then
that
you need
line
to,
is,
and
wherever
then
that
go
line
to a
is,
music is for lovers party in San Diego. Anything they're doing
No,
is
but
pretty
find the
fun,
line.
and
Find
catch
wherever it
delicious
is.
crew.
and then
Yeah.
and then have a conversation with yourself about that. Like, look, I would feel uncomfortable going to the grocery store during working hours to buy food. That's a problem, right? I mean, like, so you got to find some sort of balance where, and then wherever that line is, it's on you to move the line up, like to move the
Yeah, so
lines or down, so you can like start to feel more comfortable doing things in working hours that you won't feel stressed about doing because you don't have time or you don't have whatever. The only
so it's
pressure I
not
think is you're putting the pressure on yourself, and you're
yeah.
assuming that your boss would put pressure on you.
Well, the second element of this, which is the topic, which I wanted to bring up, is I put a lot of pressure on myself, but more so where it impacts the relationship is because of the work anxiety, you're always speaking to your significant other about your work. So you
Right.
ruin your personal time with your significant other because you're just talking about work
It depends.
over and over.
It depends. I mean, like, yes and no. And I think that like what we really need to cream out of this psychology session is the fact that like what you need to
Don't
not,
charge me.
yeah, what you need to understand is that, like, if that's something that you're discussing with your significant other, ask yourself, am I doing this because I feel like my work is what makes me valuable to her?
That's a good question. I never asked myself that one. I never asked if the reason why I explain this is the value nature of it and why I have these conversations.
The invoice
The other question I would ask,
Shut the fuck up.
the question I would ask is, when you get into your next relationship, now that you have us and this conversation that we're having weekly, at a minimum weekly, we have more conversations than this one. Will you still feel the same pressure to have those like that you'll need to talk to your significant other? Because I know I'm guilty of this, where like in my past relationships, I've essentially put all of my like emotional resources, all of my professional, everything into my significant other, and then she's supposed to absorb all of that and somehow process it, right? And she can't be the
can't do
solution to
that.
all
Yeah,
my
yeah.
So the
problems.
thing,
Yeah.
because she has,
That's
she
where
has
I
her,
ask these
right, she has
questions.
her own, and so like I think there's a lot of confusion in the language when people are like, oh, you have to share everything with your partner, but what they don't understand is like that's not how it goes. What you have to do is understand that a partner is sharing your life experience with you. So as much angst and doubt that you have, they have also. So
Yeah.
it's unfair for either side to dump
Right.
it on one or the other, right? But we can talk about it, and you can create a space, a safe space, and from that heal and grow. But you can't dump because we're sharing the experience, and dumping is one-sided.
What
I
happens if she has a dump truck?
Then you got great
She's got
sex.
dumps like a truck.
You're a happy
Guys,
man.
like
Yeah,
what?
but you don't need to share everything. Yeah.
No,
All right,
I would
guys.
I would say that like think about that right now that you have all this sort of we're talking more, you have more masculine relationships in your life, and you're more comfortable sharing. Then maybe don't you won't feel the pressure of like
I
having to
think,
like one outlet, and that your one outlet is the girl that you're with, right? You have multiple
yeah,
outlets.
I
Yeah,
I feel like the pressure sometimes for me personally is
Constipation.
I find a lot of my identity in is definitely in the toilet bowl, but
your
no, I
identity's in the
find a
toilet bowl.
I have a funny
yeah,
story
because
about that.
constipation.
Actually, I have a funny story
Um,
about that. Is your
no,
mom
I find
watching? Can I tell the story?
no,
Your mom.
shut the fuck up! Don't tell that story. I know what story you're gonna talk about. Um, and no, I find a lot of identity with work, and the problem is with work, I work crazy hours. I'm always stressed out from work.
Yeah, but who's that
Anytime
for?
Right. So I gotta tell you, Mike, the season finale, spoiler alert, of White Lotus, like two episodes ago. It's a show on HBO, and there's a guy who's wealthy, and he's got a family and an oldest son, right? And he does some fucked up shit while they're on vacation, and nobody knows they're gonna lose all their money. And the son starts sniffing it out, right? And he grabs the dad in this one scene, Mike, and he goes, "Hey, man, what's going on with work? Is something going on with work?" And the dad's like, "Yeah, nothing's going on." He's like, "No, no, no, you don't understand." He's like, "I don't have any hobbies. I'm not interesting. Nobody likes me. I only thing I have is to be successful. This is all I have, right?" And it was a demonstration of sort of like this sort of mentality that might have been passed down that's not serving anyone, where like you're basing your entire sense of self-worth on success, and that's not healthy in any way.
Yeah, but I know I'm good looking. I got nice hair. I'm in good shape.
It's only
I'm
'cause you're my
athletic.
Only
But
because
I
you're
got
my
a
friend.
good.
Knowing that and internalizing that are two completely different things.
Yeah,
No,
saying that.
I
Hey,
externalize it because I
bro.
date models.
famous words: sticking feathers up your butt does not make you a chicken.
Shut the.
So true. So true.
Yeah. Okay. Arizona State University, cock jungle, over there.
Everything is
Bear
a
down.
dildo.
Bear down.
if
It's
you're
University of
Purdue or
Arizona. Shout out University of Arizona. Shout out University of Arizona Behavioral Sciences Department. What up, alumni? Shout out University of Arizona. Everybody else
What
that
the
went there
fuck
with
did
me.
this just turn
I don't know
into?
what just happened. This verbal
Yeah,
diarrhea.
I have
alumni.
no
Verbal
idea.
diarrhea.
Alumni.
Have you
baby.
donated to your school?
I have tons of fecal matter when I was there for 4 years.
I gotta pee. Are we done?
All right, yeah, let's get off this
Yeah,
motherfucker.
let's get off this.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us for another episode of Where's Mike's Mom? And next week, we'll be back at our regularly scheduled program.
My mom watches this.
I know. I missed out on She's a wonderful woman. She knows. Look at that. They just get better every week, man. If you want to learn more about that, I don't know what the fuck to do. Next week, we'll be back on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Back with the regular crew. Chris will be back in Indiana.
I'll stop traveling for like a month. I'm sorry.
And we'll have a whole set of topics to talk about, a whole bunch of BS about. Thanks for joining us as usual. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out our topics. We have a new playlist on our YouTube channel where we've broken down each one of these episodes into the little top topics chats. So they're about 5 to 7 minutes long. It's kind of cool if you want to hear us rant about some BS there that you're specifically interested in. Watch all of them if you can. Thanks for checking us out. What's up, Mike? Do you have something to say to the
Yeah, I was
audience?
gonna say, don't forget to like and comment.
Oh, comment.
Yeah, we need
yeah.
comments. We need you guys'
Negative ones work. Tell us
that's
bad
fine.
things about
That's totally
ourselves.
fine.
I enjoy when you guys tell Ricardo podcasting is not for everybody.
I think I actually reached out to that person, and he was
Did you?
he was really nice, and he said I was specifically talking about the guy from New York, and so
Shut the fuck up. No, he didn't. No, he
was-
didn't.
Hey, you know what would be a really viral episode? Wait, put your shit back on.
No, he's got pissed.
Damn. All right. Anyway, so he has this crazy ex-girlfriend named Jess. We should have her on the episode, and then that would definitely get some views.
Oh, definitely.
Oh man. All right, Mike.
We'll
Let's
go
take
to
care,
therapy
guys.
session.
Yeah.
All
Take
right,
care,
have a
guys.
good one.
Yep.
Talk to you